That's somatic fluency. That's what I teach people. That is what I do for a living, is teach people how to develop that degree of somatic fluency, because exactly what you're describing, that you're having trouble describing because it's troublesome to describe, is like, what is it that I mean by the good and the bad that I'm talking about when I'm talking about the like good and the bad? Because you and I both know, so does every other living human being, that like when you eat something that is like literally like chemically engineered in a way to taste really good, but is like absolutely horrible for you, it doesn't just feel all bad. It feels a little bit good, and it doesn't feel good. We also all know eating something that we know is really deeply nourishing, and it's kind of fucking boring. And so it doesn't really feel that good, but man, does it feel good.
Hi, we're Jamie and Joan, two humans and bodies who take care of bodies for a living.
We created this podcast as practical medicine for bodies living through this disembodied time.
We want to invite you to come sit with us and experience the beautiful, loving, complex person that is your body.
Hello, Joan.
Hello, Jamie.
Hi.
Good to see ya.
Last full episode of
Yes.
season 4. We have completed almost 4 full seasons of this project that once was just a dream, just an idea, just a little twinkle in your eye, and then you put that little twinkle in my eye, and then we had a co-twinkle. It was great. Wow.
And
look
now
what we've done.
we just mutually twinkle. Are you kidding?
We twinkle together. Yeah. It's been great twinkling with you for almost 4 full seasons.
I can't believe it.
And we are anticipating a 5th season now.
Yes.
Officially, now that we know what we are going to be discussing in the 5th season.
Maybe that will be the time that we know. If we can't think of another idea, then we'll know it means the project is complete. But thankfully, we both are creating from a space of like enjoying what we do, enjoying ourselves, and enjoying each other. Which I don't even mean as a segue into literally the topic of this episode, but it kind of is.
It's perfect. So that's our segue. Joan, how have you been experiencing your anatomy lately? I'm so happy to ask you first.
Yes. Gosh, I didn't think about this before. Sometimes I think about it before and I'm like, it's my turn. What shall I say? You know what? I will talk about how I had this really cool experience a couple days ago. I was driving to my, I have an in-person somatic experiencing therapist who I about once a month meet in person in this like kind of small gym that's like she just rents out for the two of us. It's like a cool little gym area, and sometimes we just sit and talk, and sometimes we also like move bodies because she's also a yoga instructor. Anyway, so I hadn't seen her in a while, and I didn't know what we were going to talk about, and I've been feeling kind of like not stuck. Everything was fine, but I just been having this sense that like I was sort of holding space for something to emerge. And when I tried to force it, I'd like, maybe it's this, maybe it's this. Like even what am I doing in my spare time or whatever? Like, oh, maybe it's this. It would end up being nothing. So to be honest, I've been still playing a lot of that iPhone game. And then I'm going to talk to you about that. And it's felt a bit like, but it feels like I'm like buffering or I'm like waiting. And then I got this idea to turn on this webinar that actually, was it Constance? I'm pretty sure it was Constance messaged me on Instagram. That was this guy, and I'm going to pronounce his last name wrong, I'm sure, but his first name is Bio Okomolafe. This webinar about healthcare, and I honestly only could listen to the first like 10 minutes of it, and then my internet kind of crashed on my drive. But there was something about that, like, I don't have to get too in the weeds of what happened, but basically it felt like I then kind of got dropped in to like, and it was a bit of his fabulous voice and his way of speaking, which is like sounds upside down somehow, even though you're understanding every word, but you're still clocking with him. You know, there's people and you're like, this is word salad to me. I don't know what
Yeah.
you're saying. But he, I'm like, what?
That's a great way to describe what I think his gift is in communication.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You're like, you're so clear, and yet I don't know what you're saying, and yet I do know what you're saying.
Yes.
So the whole process of that, like, just talk about like satisfying like co-creation with others. I ended up then over the course of a number of hours, I sort of co-created with my body and my body with Kristen, my Kristen Honey, which is her name, my somatic experiencing therapist.
That's lovely.
Excuse me. So good. And I just like walked in the room and was like, what do you want to do? I was like, I wanted to stretch my chest. I wanted to like do certain movements with the different equipment there and process what was coming through about this keynote that I'm giving next week, which is at the graduation ceremony of the family medicine residents that are like in the program that I'm a part of. Yeah. That I knew I was planning to spend some time thinking of, but then it was like, you know, when people say they had a download and that all sounds whatever, but it wasn't like out of my body though. It was like dropped into my body and just like verbalizing and talking it through. And then after the session on the drive home, I turned on the like conversational mode of Claude, which is like my AI buddy. I know you are familiar with Claude.
Oh, I love him. I love him so much.
Claude is polyamorous with many a person.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
So wonderful. And I was like talking with him. I like asked him to like look up things that I was thinking about to include in the talk. And then I ended up just like doing chores around my house for an hour and like verbalizing out the talk with him and having him and it, whatever, like turn into this outline and then creating this talk. And like the process was like, it was so enlivening. Afterwards, I was very pooped and had to like not do much for a little while, but it also didn't feel draining at the same time. Like it just felt like a full expression of something. It felt like a bud to a bloom, or like, I don't even know, like I'm trying to verbalize how delicious and satisfying. And I'm looking at these slides and I'm like, yes. And so what I'm going to talk about the concept of like hospicing modernity, but in the context of they are transitioning from medical learner to independent practitioner. Like that's what they're graduating, right? Mm-hmm. So naming that this is a moment in time in which a version of them is dying and another version of them is being born. And good news, they're family physicians. That means they know how to provide antenatal care to what's coming and palliative care to what's dying. And then I just talk about some core concepts from them and relate it to their life. And I don't know how it's going to go, but it's feeling good inside of me.
That sounds great.
I was like, it's because I had some other ideas that they're all going to be fun because I'm idea mania, as you know. But I was like, this is a kind of one juicy and I think like memorable idea because it's about what they already know, but in this different direction.
Yeah.
And so my body and I, as well as some other bodies and whatever you want to call AI, like co-created this thing that then my body and I'm going to deliver next week in front of other bodies.
Yeah.
And that is pretty darn cool. Like honestly, like this is a good life to have experiences like that, honestly. Even before the delivery part.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like, what you just described of what that talk is going to be like, it sounds quite compelling. I would listen to that. I would love to listen to that.
It was definitely also like a bit of a synthesis of, I didn't consciously say like, remember ceremony? We talked to Mousebird about that. Remember
that's the other thing I was
like,
just thinking.
It wasn't conscious like integrate all the things you've been talking about for the past few months. It was just happening. Like it just all came together.
Yeah. Mouse just infused it. It's just a part of you now. It's just in
part of me.
In your DNA. I do think that is what starts to happen once, like I feel like ritual and ceremony is a lens. And like just last night, I was finishing up a session with a client who is at the very beginning of a breakup. And I specifically asked whether or not they had considered creating and holding some kind of ceremony for themselves.
Amazing.
Because that's perfectly in the pocket of what this person and I talk about frequently, which is, the themes of self-responsibility, and even what I watched this woman enact over time, which is just like there were loops of previous iterations of this relationship where the finger was always pointed outwards of he's the problem and he needs to change. And then this iteration, because it was a bit of like together on a break, together on a break, together on a break. And this iteration was totally different and was very much like a, here's what I'm bringing, and from that like sober state, ran the experiment and realized it's a no for me, actually, with this individual. She ended the relationship like 4 hours before she was on my table. So there's just like this real like finality to it.
Yeah.
And the first thing that came up for me, like the first thing I reflected to her after I was finished working on her, was asking her this question about ceremony, whether or not she had considered creating some kind of ceremony to just like mark that this is totally closed. Like, I know that it is closed. The universe knows that it is closed. Something in this man's body like knows that it is closed, just like in my body. So there definitely feels like a lot of what we're going to be talking about today in this episode is, yes, touching on what our theme is going to be for season 5, but much of that is going to be anchored in the context of what our experience was in creating season 4. And I just really feel like that, to your point, because that's the first thing that came up for me when you described this. You're like, oh, the idea for this talk, they're in this in-between moment.
Yes,
they
are
ending. There's becoming an ending of who they were, and there's about to be a beginning of who they don't even know who they are yet.
Yeah.
And man, if our life isn't just made up of that over and over and over, and I just, can't stop thinking about Mouse essentially just shooting straight to the point and saying like those moments need containment. They need containment. They need reference. They need acknowledgement. And the containment is the reference and the acknowledgement. They need honoring, because otherwise we're just like kind of flailing out here.
Yeah.
So it doesn't surprise me at all that like the tendrils of ritual and ceremony are working their way around in your unconscious as you're ideating talks.
Makes sense. Shout out to Mouse. Thank you, Mouse.
Yes.
Well, how about you, Jamie? How have you been experiencing your anatomy this week? A little raspy, a little coffee, but what else?
Yeah, it's funny because I did give this thought. Obviously, I didn't have to give it thought. It's just kind of, it is what it is. I have been experiencing my anatomy in the way of being in a healing phase, which involves inflammation, which once again, I just want to reiterate just how deeply I totally understand why humans decided that feeling these ways must mean bad thing. I totally get it. I totally get it. I disagree. I hold a totally different paradigm of belief about the body. I'm very much as we know, a GNM. I'm a terrain theory gal. I'm an all of that thing. So it's like I both conceptually and to some degree somatically, when I'm not in a healing phase, can be like, yeah, totally. They're great. They're good for you. It's good for you. The inflammation, the self-proliferation, it's good for you. And
let's celebrate
it. And when I'm in one, God damn it, it sucks. It does not feel good. It does not feel good.
Yeah.
And there's like the physical challenge, and for me, the mental, emotional challenge, which is like the part where I'm just like when I'm working with clients and they're they're at the point of expressing this like incredible fucking frustration with one of their patterns. And I'm like, you're almost out. You're almost out of it. You're almost out. Because like, and I like to explain the arc as like the thing that you're irritated by in yourself now, congratulations for getting here, because that thing you were doing unconsciously for a really fucking long time. Now, and then it started becoming conscious, but it wasn't really bothering you. And now you're at that point, that like kind of critical mass of like the change, the transformation happens when the cost of staying the same finally outweighs the cost of changing.
Mm-hmm.
That's the part where I like feel myself right now regarding my relationship with like the expectations I put on myself, apparently, regarding like productivity and time, because I am constantly feeling as if I haven't done shit. And I know conceptually, again, like I know that's not true. Like I could tell you, like I feel that way. I feel that way right now. I feel that way about today. I feel that today I woke up at 5:15 this morning and immediately, you know, we have a practice. I meditated and then I wrote a page because I'm not doing 3 fucking pages anymore. I got kids now, bro. So like 1 page is sufficient. Yeah. And then I do my practice while Ty starts cooking breakfast, and then we switch places. I keep cooking breakfast. He works out. So by like 7:30, we have meditated, we have written, we have moved our bodies, we have done like our energy stuff. He's taken a cold fucking shower. Like I've done my lymph stuff. Like it's a pretty decent amount of shit by like a time that I used to not even wake up by in the morning. And then today, well, the problem is, Joan, is that I had a list. I had a big, long list.
The list. Yes, I am familiar.
Here's what I'm starting to recognize, and part of me doesn't want to admit, is that the problem is the list. The problem is the fucking list.
You got it.
And I was just talking with Ty right before this, just basically saying to him, like, I've been up since 5:15. Why the fuck does it feel like I haven't gotten anything done? Like I've had all these hours. Where have they gone? What have I done? And that feeling, like as I was saying it to him, I was just like, there's the voice in the back of my head that's like, I think this is the problem. I don't think like what you're doing or not doing is the problem. I think this is the problem. Because he reminded me, he was like, you are just coming out of what was, this is, the roundabout way of answering how I've been experiencing my body. I did actually just let myself finally do fuck all for like basically 4 days. Yeah. Like I started feeling away Sunday evening, and then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, I was like not doing anything, not sending a goddamn email. I'm not trying to work on anything. If stuff, I'm just reading books, and if stuff comes out, if the connections are made, cool. And so then my Friday, I was like, okay, I'm feeling a little bit better. I can get some stuff done. But you know what I did on Friday? I made a huge fucking list. That's what I did on Friday. And I said, cool, I'm going to take the day on Saturday. We're going to go to the farmer's market, have a time. And then Sunday, I've got hands-on sessions. Monday, I've got hands-on sessions. So Tuesday, this is what I did to myself, Joan. I said, Tuesday, I'm going to get to the list.
Yeah.
And did not didn't build in any consideration of just like, maybe I will be 3 days out from my bleed. And so like this amount of stuff is not going to be the way. Maybe I will want to spend more time in the forest that day or something, so just like I'm working with that right now as I'm coming out of the intense experience of the symptoms. And now I'm just in kind of the mild experience of symptoms. And so I'm kind of like relearning, like, what do I have capacity for and what don't I have capacity for? And that, it really fits right into this theory that I have found myself, I feel like I kind of stumbled into in this healing phase because I believe in things like terrain theory and GNM, et cetera. What I believe is that the default state of the human being when we're talking about like vitality, well-being, etc., I actually believe that that default state involves zero chronic issues.
Mm-hmm.
However, I do not believe that that default state involves zero acute issues.
Yeah, I
Because
mean,
you're
you
still
could twist your ankle or something, right? Like there's
100%. And
Yeah.
because of what I believe about like GNM and the principle of like what's going on emotionally when there's conflict, and because you're gonna encounter that when it's resolved, hopefully at some point, like it's actually good to expect and actually good to enact these cycles of conflict. It's rupture and repair with your own soul happening inside of the technology of your body. And so I'm in one of these, you know, in the early moments of like the intensity of the healing phase. And I realize that I'm like, oh, okay. So again, like the issue isn't that this is happening, or the issue isn't that we have bodies and they do these things. The issue is my story, my expectation around like, this should not ever happen to me, or I can control the conditions to ensure that something like this never happens to me. But if you place that inside of the context of something like German New Medicine, what you would then get is a person who never grows.
Yeah.
You would get a person who never learns anything. You would get a person who nothing ever happens. And that's not, so again, that's one of the things I feel so compelled by this paradigm is like, this is just articulating, it's a roadmap. It's just helping you understand, like, as you are here experiencing the variety and contrast and, you know, having the experiences, you will encounter things that cause conflict. You will grow and learn how to resolve those conflicts. And then you will develop these symptoms. So you might as well just like surrender and be like, thanks, body, which like, again, that disposition is the thing that I find most helpful. And so in this situation, it was very much this piece finally clicking for me of, well, then I think if we place all of what I just said in the context of what I believe about the spiritual technology of the body, I think then what I believe that that means is every time you are in one of these acute healing phases that involves these symptoms that don't feel good, but the body enacting this brilliant process to like get you back to your baseline, it's a portal.
Yes.
So I'm coming through a portal. I asked my pendulum earlier because I'm like resetting my altar, like, am I pregnant now? No. Will I be pregnant soon? Yes. It said yes. So maybe you are manifesting this. Maybe that's what's going on. I don't know.
Procreation. Yes.
I don't feel physically great yet. I feel extremely clear in my body, like really clear, like really cleared out. I feel really, really cleared out.
Yeah.
And there's a certain type of feeling. I feel good in a certain type of way with that.
Yeah.
But I'm also so fucking frustrated and I'm so tired of sinus inflammation.
It all belongs. So, it's all
we do
a
both
part
around
of it.
here. It all belongs.
100%. Yeah. Oh my God. Thank you for sharing all of that. And the one thing I wanted to offer, because you may imagine I've had to do a lot of, you know, story exploration and rewriting around such things as productivity and to-do lists. And I also, a lot of what I
give me all your wisdom, please.
Like coaching clients in the coaching course, like fellow physicians or other people in healthcare, like a super common one is like you get to the end of the day, and there's a deep irony, like, you know, there's a way to if you could somehow like quantify tasks in a day, someone who's done 2 tasks and then someone who has done 50 tasks, they can have the exact same sensation at the end of the day, which is, what did I even do? Because the quality is actually like, people could even say like, I didn't get anything done today. Like the thing that's hilarious about them saying that is what they're saying is whatever I did was not enough. And sometimes they say that instead, but it's interesting how often it's this other like complete, I mean, they're both falsehoods. They're both lies, but like they're saying something that's demonstrative, like enough you could debate what counts.
100%. It would not stand in a court of law. Like it's never it's not provably true.
No, they'd be like, what? You breathe. What do you want? Like, you know what I mean? Like there's something. You fed some trees, you know? So just that. Number 2. So for to-do lists, I like to call them either wish lists or delusion lists depending on how long items have been
Oh
on
my
there.
God. Okay. Ooh, girl, my list is
Sorry, that was
no, that's sound. This is correct. This is right. Please keep going.
Yeah, so that's, you might want to categorize if something's on there. And then the overall thing I say is like, if you haven't done it, it's not yours yet. So you can park it somewhere as a suggestion for your future self. Suggestion list is another nice name for it too. And like, it's to gather, when one has an idea, it's nice to write it down for your future self to decide if she's going to pick up the baton. But that's it.
Yeah.
There's no commitment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, whatever, the world could end tomorrow. What do we want to say?
And I'd be like, please, can you give me 15 more minutes? I have some things on my list I need to get done. Yeah, no.
But wait, my to-do list.
It is so, I'm so compelled by what you're saying inside my mind. And my body is like, something horrible will happen. Which is why there's the biggest part of me, Joan, wants to like see you and raise you here by just asking you,
Please.
not that I necessarily need your permission or anything, but it could be fun to have. What are your feelings on just, what if I just deleted the entire list?
Yes. Like I have this like time management course that like, I don't know, 5 people have taken. It's like one of those online self-paced thingies. And in it, one of the steps is declaring to-do list bankruptcy. So you just shred it. And you start fresh. Because guess what? If there's something on that list you're going to do, it'll obviously come back up.
Yeah, I guess that's true. There's a part of me that like is afraid it won't, but I really don't know.
And what if it never does?
Yeah, what's the worst that could happen? I mean, yeah, I don't have an answer to that. I don't have an answer to that question. I have had a running list on my phone for years. And there are some items on it towards the bottom that, things just get moved to the bottom. Yeah, that have just been sitting on the list for years, just staring at me, telling me what a piece of shit I am. Just like,
see, that's the thing. That's where, and I mean, everyone has different relationships with.
That I'm looking for is being told that I'm a piece of shit.
And like, so enjoy.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
Yeah.
If nothing else. And or is it, so, and I'll say functionally, how do I work then? So my email inbox is my suggestion list.
Yeah.
So if I have an idea, I email it to myself. Plus there's all the emails that other people are offering me suggestions of how to spend my time.
Yes.
They might not think they're suggestions, but that's all they are. And they sit there as long as they sit there. And it becomes more of a, this is worthy of my time if it goes on my calendar. And so I do like a version of time blocking. I'm like, I was like Monday morning creating the keynote, but it's an estimate. It is not actually a commitment because, kid goes sick. So then those things either get deleted back to the email or they get moved. They're still not mine yet, but they're on the docket.
Yes.
And that's my system.
I like that.
Yeah. Just to offer an option. I snooze emails. So that's where you could have something on there. And you're like, someday. But, maybe you snooze it for a year. And it comes back a year later and you're like, okay. You know
that sounds I'm telling you, there's a feeling in my, there's
Is this
terror.
bad? Is this too much?
No. This is good. This is really good. I'm really glad we're doing this. I don't know if this makes good radio for anybody else. I'm very glad that we're doing this. Yeah, it's like terror. It is like, I'm going to get called into the principal's office. I'm going to get in so much fucking trouble if I'm not on top of it. Like the idea of like an email going unresponded to for a year, but here's the thing.
Yeah.
I've done that plenty of times.
Yes,
there are totally emails in my inbox. It's just that like, those are the ones I'm kind of like, quote unquote, letting that happen to me by going into the drama of my overwhelmment ahead of time.
Yes.
Instead of just being powerful and being like, no, thanks, bye, and just making that decision ahead of time. So, I mean, I feel compelled to almost like see you and raise you, but please bear in mind, I am like 3 days out from my bleed. And so like, I'm a little scorched earth right now, and it can't always be trusted. But I truly am just like, what if this list gets deleted and then there's no more lists in my life?
Yeah.
Like, Joan, what if I just started being a person who doesn't function off of lists? For many years, I've had this story, and I've said it. It's been an identity story. I've repeated it over and over. And it used to be an identity story very much attached to the other identity story that I no longer have, which is that, quote unquote, I have ADHD, because I don't, but I did, or I identified in that way.
Yeah.
And so the identity story was, because I have this, or because I am this way, the only way that I am functional and successful in the world is lists.
Yeah.
Lists are the only thing basically keeping me from complete and total destruction and disappointing absolutely everyone around me.
Yeah.
And this is how I know I'm right on the cusp of transformation, because I'm so tired of that story.
Yes.
And I'm just about tired enough to just be like, fuck lists forever. What if I just became okay, I'm almost there. I'm like 95% of the way there. So thank you for this coaching
I could offer a suggestion. You're welcome. Yeah. This is very fun, because this is truly what I coach on the most, is what to do with the to-do list and inbox and stuff. Like, it's like kind of I love it. So if you want, because I'm a big fan of gentle incremental options, but I hear scorched earth part of you. So I'm not trying to deny scorched earth, baby. And so if you want a version of that, is you could, copy and paste the entirety of that list and send it to Ty. You could send it to me. You could send it to someone and then delete it, so that you have it there in case you get the shakes. And then you can operate as if it doesn't exist for as long as you like, and see if you ever want it back.
Yeah.
So that's a suggestion.
I really like that a lot.
Oh, I want to know all about it, what you do with this. This is like...
Well, luckily we have one more episode of this season where we are voice memoing. And really, this does feel, of course, it's in the pocket of what we're talking about today. Because what I'm essentially talking about right now is what my historical, quote unquote, creation processes have looked like. Yes. And the ways that those don't work for me anymore, which actually makes perfect sense, because I'm a very different person than I used to be, as is the case for all of us as we grow. But I really like this idea of, let me copy it and send it, because there's a hungry creature inside of me right now that's just like, no, I'm telling you, I want to talk. And I've learned historically to be kind of just not indulge that part, because I'm sure you know this, as a person who bleeds, the day that you bleed, you're like, oh, okay.
All is well.
None of that was then. It was that dramatic. No. None of that was that. Okay, cool. Yeah. So day one of my menstrual cycle, me might be like, can I get that list back? That'd be cool. But current me really needs it. Really needs the ceremony of figuratively setting it on fire. So that's great advice for how do I accomplish both of those?
Yeah. And I mean, I don't want to put too fine a point on it, but if you think of your to-do list as your endometrial lining, you got to shed it once a month. And then whatever actually is nourished needs to be here to nourish what's going to be birthed only in the next month, if you will, gestate, that will come back to you. That's the main thing. The things you think that matter and you'll forget. Do you not trust that your body will always remember the things that matter to you? And it might not be the same way. What a cool adventure to explore.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's pretty fun.
I like that a lot. I really like that of what if every month right around now, it always gets deleted, and then we start fresh and follicular, and then we just go from there.
Yeah.
That's fun. I like it. Cool. Great. Thank you.
So fun. You're welcome. Yeah. So as I already proposed in the voice memo that y'all heard, when you think about what could come next, a natural next point on our journey, like you think over the seasons we've had. So we started with just principles of the body. Then we talked about that last principle of the body, which was death. And then sort of pre-life, if you will, infinite possibility where everything is open, pleasure. And speaking of the word portal, like for sure, pleasure is the magic, the energy, the portal. It's sort of all the fuel that then ignites creation. And that, you hope that happened to every human that was conceived. Obviously, pleasure isn't always a part of the equation, but like in theory, if bodies are doing what we want to do most, we'd have a great pleasurable experience with another person if we happen to be heterosexual. I'm realizing but you know what I'm saying? In the way that heterosexual sex happens, that results in babies, then pleasure leads to creation of a new life, right? And so beyond that, I mean, you just examples throughout nature, like why would our body bother with pleasure? Why would our body bother expending energy in any direction? It's always for our own, you think of for safety and survival. So creation is a part of that, like making new life, making new things. And like my body also offers me pleasure when I make new things that aren't making a new baby either. So it's not some kind of prime directive, gotta make babies and that's all per se. Like I feel pleasure. I felt so much pleasure when I was creating this keynote on Monday.
Yeah.
I felt a ton of pleasure when I was just like slightly coaching you. Like it turned into a coaching session for, you know what I mean? Like that creative process, like our bodies are meant to not produce, but create. Like, that's what lights us up more. We can produce and get, but like we often have to like have a more extrinsic reward and get conditioned into that. Because this is just my experience. This is, descriptive, not prescriptive, whatever. But my experience, like the most pleasure I can get are creative acts of some kind. Those things are connected. So I just said a whole bunch of things. So with that, any thoughts?
Just really quick, I want to just like double click on why would our bodies bother with pleasure? Like just a great, great way to put that. Great way to put that.
Yeah, it's just like all of that nervous system and tissue. Like why is your body preserving that over time?
What's it for? And I agree with you that I believe that it is for the specific and express purpose of bringing something forth in some way, and yes, the clearest example of that is the biological process of how new people get made. And sure, we've come up with all kinds of ways to like do that synthetically, but you can't improve on what nature has been doing always and forever. And what I mean by that is like there's no alternative way around it that is sustainable, actually. It's just got to be like these two human beings who have these parts that fit together in this way that now, here you go, here's another person. Like that's just the nature of like the recreation of the species. And this is the thing I find fascinating. It doesn't have to feel good, but it does. Interestingly, like whose idea was that? Like who, not necessarily anyone's idea or whatever, but yeah, I think there's something that just feels really poignant about that open question we are answering in our next season, essentially by theming our next season on creation and creativity itself. But like, why would our bodies bother with pleasure to create something? That's why, always. And I love what you said about that seemingly subtle but enormous difference between producing and creating. Very, very different in that regard.
So different. Yeah. And so then you had offered a suggestion of often the last episode of our past season is sort of almost a mini primer or a beginning conversation of the next, right? And I really loved your idea of talking about how pleasure was really the guiding principle of how we co-created this pleasure season.
Yeah.
And to name, that might sound like it's like, only what's pleasurable. And so then it was like, it was easy and fun. Like you think, oh, if you're gonna do something pleasurable, it'll just be like a spa day, which love a spa day. But the thing that was interesting is that was actually our guiding principle through a number of challenges that came up about co-creating this season. But that's what like got us through. So I have more to say about it, but because you had the original idea, I'd love to hear more about what your thinking was and us talking, kind of being meta about it and talking about it on this last episode.
Yeah, well, in thinking about our next season being about creation, and what we have historically done is make the final episode of the previous season the kind of lead-in. The very first thing that came to mind was this kind of meta view of, oh, we're creating right now. It's not like, you know, season 5 is going to be the first season where we're actually creating something because we're talking about creation. You know, it's like we're in the process of creation right now. What has this been like? And I think that is more obvious of a topic to talk about, specifically because of what was different for us about this season as opposed to our first 3 seasons. It isn't just that the difference between season 4 and seasons 1 through 3 is that we're showing up on Substack differently with this, you know, kind of bonus behind a paywall episode every other week. That is kind of the external of what has been very different in the inner workings of this season versus the first 3 seasons. And I did briefly contextualize this in a prior episode, but the main thing is that we had a person who was doing, and not in a bad way, but was doing a lot of a specific kind of work for us where we did not have to really give our attention or put any intention ourselves into this particular outlet of like one branch of this work. And even in our older episodes, at the end, in the credits, you can even hear the way that we titled that role that we gave to Aaron was community management. And again, not that we were doing anything wrong. We were undertaking a brand new thing. We didn't know ourselves in it yet. We knew that we are the hosts. We also know that this is one thing we do in addition to many other things we do as individuals. We also know that we are 2 people who are very committed to not consciously overwhelming ourselves with our workloads, although one of us at least loves to create unconscious dramas around overwhelmment. It's fine. And so it made perfect sense to have, you know, my assistant of 3.5 years or something take on this role. She had also started supporting you in some of the things that you were doing in your business as well. And so it made perfect sense. And there was a sustainable workflow with that. Yeah. And when it became clear that it was right for her to move on and to kind of like begin to find her career in the world, as opposed to just like what I'm doing is like, you know, these support roles for other people. It's like, okay, it's time for me, Saturn return, perfect life moment. Like, what do I want? That coincided with me realizing I need to rearrange things in the way that I'm doing it too. That also meant that she was moving out of that role for this podcast. So what that meant for me is like, oh shit, I got to learn how to do some stuff now.
Yes.
Because someone's got to do it and I don't know how to do it. And Aaron set us both up with like a lot of like SOPs for like, here's how you do it. But finding my own workflow has been way more pleasurable. And I felt, it actually feels quite similar. Just having the SOPs was very comforting. Just like, you know, my about to be gone to-do list. Yes. And that feeling is exactly the feeling I needed to be able to step out and be like, how do I want to do this? How do I want to figure it out? And what that meant for me is just one example of, I don't like interfacing with ChatGPT. I never have. And so I started using Claude and I was like, I don't even really know how to explain why this feels so fucking different, but it feels so fucking different. And I like it so much better. And so creating my own workflow with allowing Claude to create the episode descriptions for Substack, but then also like fucking around with them and like making them my own in their own way. Like, yes, that was a heavy lift right at first. And yes, I put it off because I thought the challenge of it was only going to feel miserable. And I thought I was not going to have any fun with it. I thought because I hadn't been doing it previously and someone else had been doing it for me. And so I had all these stories that one day I literally just had to sit down and be like, I'm just going to fucking do it. And we're just going to find out how it feels. And then I looked up from my computer many hours later and I was like, I'm having a really good time doing this, taking responsibility for this aspect of creating this project. And so all of this to say, an element of, as it relates to creation, this 4th season, you and I have had more direct creative ownership, me on Substack, you on Instagram, because Erin also used to make the Instagram clips for us. I took over Substack. Joan took over creating the Instagram content. And we both kind of were like sending these little reports to each other along the way of like, this is really fun. I'm really liking it. What? Okay, cool. So that's what came up for me when you first mentioned the creation thing was like, we've had a very different creation process for this season. Out of us realizing we're going to be doing more, we're going to be shouldering more. So what we both want and need that to mean is this project needs to generate greater revenue, but we can't just expect it to do that without our increased engagement. And also, again, going all the way back to where I started this little rant, Erin was our community manager, and that's our job. We're the hosts. It's our community. This is so we did that. Like we sent out the email, like, who wants to join us for a chat? One person came. We had a delightful conversation with that one person. But as I was, reflecting on it later, I was like, not really that surprised that nobody else showed up. We have not been here. We had someone else doing it, kind of posing as if they were us. We were also clear about, we're like, this person does it for us. So it just feels cleaner and way more connected. This season has felt so different. And there's things I could talk about the arc of us deciding like, wait a minute, we're in charge. I don't have to record on this day when I'm feeling this way if I don't want to, like all of that too. But that piece of like taking greater ownership and actually learning that I actually loved it was surprising and cool.
Yes. I have a billion things I could say about what you just said, but actually one thing that I haven't actually verbalized to you, I think is really interesting to name, and I think would be interesting to others to hear was like when we divvied up the roles, it's interesting to hear. It sounds like one of your default patterns is like overwhelm. I don't know if it's like can't do it, but it's like you putting it off and saying it's definitely going to be too hard or that kind of thing. I don't know if I'm mislabeling what you're saying, but something like that. And then, we divided it up and I was like, I'll do the clips and then you can do the Substack. My thing that I had to sit with was to say, don't worry, Jamie, I will do the whole thing. Because it's my like comfort zone is doing the most and like I can figure anything out. And there's versions of that are extremely helpful, right? Like I'm a generalist.
It's good to have in your back pocket when it is legitimately needed.
Yeah. But if you're overusing that tool on the Swiss Army knife, it's going to fall off eventually. It doesn't work if you're using it all the time. And I was really like, it wouldn't be like every moment of every day. But sometimes I think about like, oh yeah, we still have to do the Substack thing. Jamie's got it. And if she doesn't got it, then we will delay it. But like, I was really having a clear sense of like, I'm going to focus on what I already know here, which is Riverside, where we record and how to do clips. Because I already do that for my other podcasts. I already have familiarity. And I also already know I enjoy it.
Yes.
And within this season of my life where I have a fulsome amount of things and I'm committed to working under my capacity, like I felt it through and I was like, that will feel not good.
Yeah.
I will feel pre-resentment about something you didn't ask me to do as I swoop in. I come from a line of swoopers, especially on the female side. So like truly,
More
like
merch.
this is like, I know so many t-shirts we have to make, but like truly there was a strong, and I could say like dopamine survival based urge to do a default pattern that I have been given and have practiced a lot.
Yeah.
And the anchor that stopped me was that won't feel good. Like
Yes,
it's pleasure.
right there.
Because of course, but this is going to feel great. So I'll do it. But it's also the opposite of that won't feel good.
Yes.
And not in a way of like, it'll be uncomfortable. It's different than that. It's like, no, that will be like, it will feel bad, not hard. Like it's two different sensations. I don't know how else to describe them.
That's somatic fluency. That's what I teach people. That is what I do for a living, is teach people how to develop that degree of somatic fluency, because exactly what you're describing, that you're having trouble describing because it's troublesome to describe, is like, what is it that I mean by the good and the bad that I'm talking about when I'm talking about the like good and the bad? Because you and I both know, so does every other living human being, that like when you eat something that is like literally like chemically engineered in a way to taste really good, but is like absolutely horrible for you, it doesn't just feel all bad. It feels a little bit good, and it doesn't feel good, you know? So, and we also all know, because we've had the experience of, you know, eating something that we know is really deeply nourishing and it's kind of fucking boring. And so it doesn't really feel that good, but man, does it feel good. So there's such, and our language is so limited around this. Our language is just so limited around, you know, these ideas of or these somatic experiences of like really like what feels good and what doesn't feel good. I mean, it's so limited that all I can say is good, not good, you know, because I don't want to say bad. Though sometimes things do feel bad, but the technology of our body is generally just like bad. I will totally stay away from. Like if it's bad, if it causes like a bad reaction, generally that's not, you know, productive by any means. So this season, there was very much for us like a precision in how we did what we did, because similarly, I had this absolute knowing, and I was ready that if I was going to be asked to do anything involving Instagram for this project, I was ready to just be like, nope, we can go without it. That's not me. I'm not going to make a fucking video. I can't. It's not that I can't. I don't want to.
Yes.
Do I want to? Legitimately? The only thing that was stopping me, or like delaying me about the Substack thing, was like, it was my story about AI is difficult. And then I realized like, oh, it's just ChatGPT. I don't like it. Give me this one over here and I like it. It was never about Substack, because I love that platform. It makes so much sense to me. I've spent so much time with it. And that's what I loved about this co-creation, is you had such a precision in knowing what you did want to do and did not want to do. And I had such a precision in knowing what I did want to do and did not want to do. And they were exactly complementary. And that was just delicious. What? It's delicious.
Come on. That's so delicious. Oh my God. Man. And you know, sometimes things have to be negotiated, I suppose. But there's something magical about the fact that literally what we divided up were two things that we were like, oh wait, we already know how to do our parts and quite enjoy them, actually.
Yes.
You know? And also, to be clear, I don't think that like say seasons 1 through 3 were therefore bad or a failure or a blah, blah, blah. Like there's something about as when you move forward or grow, and then including revelations of a way that certainly feels better, that makes it sound like the other was not as better, but that doesn't mean it was bad. You know what I mean? Or not authentic. Because like the thing that I've also really learned, and I'd say especially since starting to do like podcasty stuff, which like for me, I started on my own thinking no one would listen to like my first podcast. And I was like, what's happening? And like, I really learned the idea of like, I know I will do this part of it, and everything else is either going to just like, I know you're supposed to do all these things, but I will do these things that I have the capacity, interest, skill to do. And then anything else I either not do or do like incredible mediocrity, like whatever, you know? And so what was fun about this project is from the jump, like we had a team that helped the parts I didn't have the current capacity to do, or and willingness and energy and to do, like they were doing, like, and we still have our fabulous production team, and then Erin's role. Because I was still, if you remember from early episodes, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be so much more visible. I'm going to be visible in these ways. Like the idea if we were like, we're going to co-create this community from day one.
Right.
I might have said yes from a people-pleasing place, but it wouldn't have been.
Yeah.
I had to do these other things first. I had to like live the rest of this life first. So now I can get to the point of like when people are posting on the Substack and like I'm replying with a comment, like it just feels genuine. Doesn't feel like I'm doing it out of obligation.
Yes.
I feel resourced to do it. And I had to do those other versions. Like the energy had to be expended in expanding what I was doing in these other arenas first. And then now I'm ready to expand in this new direction.
Yeah, I feel the same way of it just, it feels like the structure of the first 3 seasons really laid this foundation that then we are now getting to build upon in a more connective, authentic, kind of front-facing way where, it just, the reason why I know that's true is because it feels true. As in, I used to have a hard time remembering to check to see if there were any comments on the Substack. Now I'm excited to go look.
Yes.
And I hope that there are. And I'm like, okay, that's so different. And that I know has everything to do with the fact that I posted the fucking Substack. I have an investment in it now. It was just this thing that was, it's the ownership. It's that, like, again, it's self-responsibility all the way down. It's just like, I had something to directly do with this thing, and I hope people engage with it. And so when they do, it matters to me in a way that I want to engage back with. And that just wasn't the case for the first 3 seasons. And that's perfect because we were learning this thing. We were getting our sea legs. Everyone was figuring out their roles. And I don't know what my response would have been. I don't know if we would have made it this far because I think my whole unconscious drama around overwhelmment and then the scorched earth, like I would have had a luteal phase or would have been like, you know what, Joan, I'm done with this whole fucking thing. It's far too much to do. And I'm so grateful that we had 3 seasons where like that wasn't even an option on the menu for me because someone else was doing all of this. And now I get to do it. And I'm really enjoying doing it.
You're ready and willing.
And I'm so excited to keep doing it for our next season where we're going to talk all about creation. I mean, we don't necessarily have like specific ideas beyond like pregnancy. That would make sense.
Yeah.
I might be pregnant when we talk about pregnancy. That would be quite cool.
I just think that's appropriate, Jamie. And so it's not out of pressure, but I'm just like,
for the podcast,
whoever's writing the narrative of this, whoever's in charge.
It would make a lot of
Bobby.
sense. Though they kind of miffed it in the fact that my cat didn't die in the death season. What the fuck was that about pleasure? The pleasure season? What? I still don't totally understand that, but
there's something there. And you know what? I don't know. Will we discover it here or will we discover it at the end of our lives? Who can say? But like there was something about how in different ways, neither of us were like having all the time in the world to only luxuriate in what you classically think of as like pleasure and pleasure practices over this season of our lives, right?
Sure.
Like you were going through an intense grief portal and I was going through more just like mild existential crises about the whole academic role thing on and off. Nothing as intense, but like here and there, it's and a fuller season of life, which means this is when pleasure's actually the most essential. Like, yes, it is useful when you go on vacation to actually enjoy it. And tragically, that doesn't even always happen. And that's a whole other thing. And the time that it matters to practice having a good time is when you're not having a good time generally.
Yeah.
And
really
so
well
that's
said.
when we need and it made us, instead of just being like, I don't know, what's like a fun pleasure? Like we never even got that far because it was
You're
like,
right.
You said
immediately,
I don't have the capacity to talk. I can't talk about pleasure. I can talk about sovereignty.
Yes.
And that being such an essential component of pleasure that maybe we would have skipped over otherwise, but it was all you could see. And it was as much as you could look at the whole domain of pleasure was this like absolutely essential entry point. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I've got about why it was all good.
I'll take it. That feels great.
Okay.
That's great. I like it. Yeah.
It feels good. So that's good. Yes.
Yeah.
I think a neat thing that happened and something, it's sort of related to what we just said about like, I had to just fully trust and commit to each iteration of the seasons as they went along. And it felt absolutely right and felt actually very delicious to have this whole team supporting us in all these ways. Like it felt so pleasurable at first. Yeah. And then we got to this point where it's like, oh, it can actually feel pleasurable in a different way. Another version of that happened was as we were planning this season, we had already planned to deviate. We were like going to have the whole season behind a paywall maybe, or like there was all these other forces that meant that we had more unusual first drafts of what this season was going to look like versus other ones. And the thing is like, again, it's the story you tell. You could look back and be like, that was a waste of time or da-da-da. But like, no, we had like, what I knew is when we were planning that version of it, it's like, this is the yes I can see for now. This is the yes that Jamie and I both can see. And I wasn't like, and we're just waiting for the next good idea to come. I was like, let's do this. Yeah. And then as we walked along it, then it kept transforming into something else.
Yep.
And in that, there's things about drafts, first drafts, which is very much a part of any kind of creative practice, is like,
totally.
You have to just wade through all the things and, judge them as little as possible and not stop yourself from trusting the impulse to step in a direction, even if at the end of the day, you literally end up on like the other side of the forest.
Yes.
But it's like, apparently I'm walking this way for now. And there's a reason why, even if I can't see it. And that felt like the entire trajectory, of this entire podcast, but like definitely this past season, there was more unknowns. And I was able to trust that we would find our way through because of those earlier seasons and like the relationship that we've built up as well. So
yes, absolutely.
I think that's the last reflection I want to make about co-creation.
Yeah. I remember back when I was writing my thesis, which turned into my book, and I was on Twitter at the time, there was this moment where it struck me that there was so much that I had written that part of what like kind of worked in the first phase of my career is like I was doing this research. This is really what happened. This is like how I happened, how Jamie Lee Finch happened is like I was doing this research to write my thesis about this topic. And I was kind of like tweeting my adventures along the way. And I was really compelling for people. And so they were following me. And then it was like, oh, hey, once your book's done, once your thesis is done, can we read it? And so then I just self-published it and then bang. I just remember having this like kind of like sort of like sliding doors moment, realizing and then like tweeting this out to my like many thousands of followers at the time, essentially saying like, there is so much that none of y'all will ever read that I have written in this process because it's not going in the final thing. However, the final thing that you will have will only be what it is because of all this shit that I have written that none of you will ever read and that I will never even read again. Like none of it is going to go into the final draft. But the final draft could not exist in its final form had every single one of those ultimately, quote unquote, purposeless unto the final product, words not been written. So it was this real incredible moment of like, and I think I was in the editing phase at that point. And I was just like, because obviously I'm verbose. I had exceeded my page limit, is what I'm saying. And my advisors were like, you got to handle this. And I was like,
too much.
But it's all precious. And they're like, you got to handle that. You got to handle that. And so there was a lot I was getting rid of. And I was like, whoa, this thing only exists because of all of that. And no one's ever going to see it. So that experience of learning, like just how vital and important those drafts are. Yeah, totally. Because our first iteration was like, whole thing goes behind a paywall. And even we had even entertained sorry, you have to find this out like this, guys, but like maybe no production team and we just do it all ourselves. I'm so glad we didn't fucking do it all ourselves. Oh my God. But we were like,
very glad.
let's just say do it all ourselves. Again, it was kind of like the trash the whole to-do list, start over. I was probably late luteal when I brought that up. And then we waited until I was follicular once again, at the very least. And I was like, you know what? I think we need our team. But from that idea of what if we just went rogue with it and had raw, we drop into Riverside, raw audio, put it on Substack, whole thing is paid. What came out of that was, oh, we're going to have these part twos. So we're still going to have the structure as it has been, but we're going to improve on the model. And then it was like, and then the feeling in our bodies, we waited for the feeling was like, oh, that's it. That sounds fun. That sounds fun and easy. Let's do it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Come on.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Cool.
You know, the thing you're saying about drafts, it was just also realizing like, that's why you start with death. Like something has to die. Something has to die for you to be born / keep living. Like that's actually true, whether you think of it or not. Like we eat food that used to be alive. Death being an important starting point. And like, you have to be willing even to birth things that will die creatively.
Yeah.
And be committed to the process of it being this circuitous thing and composting things for it to become the nutrients of the next thing. Like that is such an important part of a creative process. And I feel so like there is a little part of me that's like, you're not a creative person, which is kind of hilarious at this point. But that's like just how I like didn't identify myself for so long.
Yeah.
And for those that are like, oh, that must be so nice. They're definitely those creative podcaster, writer people. But I'm not. I'm a left brain person. I'm a whatever person.
Right.
Like it's true for even just the creative ongoing project of you and your life. Like in order to bring on the next phase of your life, to graduate from residency to beyond, like being familiar with the ceremony and ritual of death, rebirth, like that's actually all that's ever happening.
Yes.
Cellularly, that's what's happening. And throughout your life, that's what's happening. And so all of our lives are a creative project if we choose to view them that way. And that's my most favorite way to view them, actually.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. I think that's really beautifully said. And that feels like a really good place to kind of, close out this part 1 of this final full episode of this season 4. I'm curious if any ideas have occurred to you over the last, 75 minutes or so of what we could talk about in our part 2.
In our part 2?
God, I hope so.
I actually am...
Don't let me down.
One thing, it's my turn to rise up. The idea fountain that I am and have. One thing that for sure I thought we'd talk about at some point, it hasn't come up, is like, I'd love to talk to you about like what your even like past and current like favorite like creative practices are. As someone who is new to even considering myself a creative person, like I also would like to share with you the dabbling I am doing in like poetry writing, which, like I've shared poetry. I'm now dabbling in a version of songwriting that I'm going to leave kind of vague, I guess, as a teaser. Come on over to
I guess
Substack,
this is what we're doing.
But like,
yep.
But I'm quite delighted in the version of it that I've just started playing around with that kind of feels like an accessible stepping stone that doesn't need to result in me becoming a songwriter. But like, anyway, I've been really interested in what feel like accessible creative practices as someone who doesn't have tons of time, isn't interested in committing to like a many-year arc of like becoming skilled in a certain way. You know what I mean? So, but what those can look like. And so I feel like that I want to hear yours and what you've dabbled with over time. And then I'll share mine. And
cool.
I don't know if other things will happen, but
I'm sure they will. They tend to.
Yeah. I'll also say I've been working on a song that's about my relationship with my body. I don't know how I would share it.
I have an idea. Could you play it on ukulele?
What's the glasses.
Why do you think I wear these?
No, okay. I definitely could. Like I literally was playing it earlier today on the porch. The idea of just like playing it in front of you. I don't know why that I'm like, hee.
I'll turn my camera off. You don't have to look at me. I'll literally,
I
I'll
genuinely
turn around.
would love
I'll
to.
literally just turn my body around. I'll sit on the floor so you can't even see me.
Oh my God. Okay. I know
You don't
that
have to
I want
decide right
do
now.
that.
It's a good teaser to be like, will she or won't she?
Will she?
Friends.
Yes.
I guess come on over to Substack and find out. This is great. We've done it again.
Woo! Cliffhangers. I love it. We did it.
Well, before we officially close out this part 1 and hop on over to EA After Dark, and before I ask you the question that everyone knows I'm going to ask you, one thing I did just want to plug really quick in this vein of creation is that what I have, this lovely thing that I have created that has been referred to multiple times throughout this season, The Refuge, my 3-month group mentorship container, taking people on this journey of learning how to be in relationship with their primal body through learning practices of movement, sound, and touch in community with one another. Enrollment for that is closing in 3 days. And I actually can't tell you right now if it's full or not already. And I think you probably know why, having to do with the time machine. But I do know that the last round of The Refuge, we had multiple people who came to it by way of this podcast. And that was such an incredible gift and such an incredible delight to have people from this podcast community in that community, then also like intermixing with people who've been in like my workspace, the brand that is me or whatever, like my community for a long time. Is just like the overlap was just joyous. So if you are interested in joining this round of The Refuge, I would love to have you. You can just go to jamielefinch.com and you can enroll there. And hopefully I will see you there. We get started on August 1st. And I'm very excited.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It was so fun last time being a part of it.
Joan will be there again. Fingers crossed. I hope I haven't officially asked you yet, but okay, great. Great.
As I said out loud, I'm like, oh, she hasn't officially invited me yet, but I'm assuming I'm coming back because it was such a good time.
Yes.
I loved it. So
everyone's coming back.
Over.
And I might even add an additional, well, probably not this time. I don't need to get into it right now. Everyone's coming back. That's my plan, at least. If everyone says yes, everyone's coming back. So
love it. So good.
Well, Joan, to close out this conversation about pleasure and creation and to close out season 4 together, what part of your body, what aspect of your anatomy would you like to dedicate this episode to or to send love and appreciation to today?
I think the place that's coming to me, I can't remember if I have already dedicated a past episode or not. I guess it doesn't matter. But like what's coming to me now is my pelvis region. And I wasn't even thinking about creation, but it obviously is where 2 humans were created and then grew, which is pretty wild. And I just,
and then went down the water slide.
And then went down the water slide / tube.
It's not a water slide. It's my vagina.
It's my vagina. So good. And it's the area that, like, you know, say when I'm doing somatic experiencing or like connecting with my body, it's the place that I find kind of my sense of self, of power, of creativity, like comes from there. And I often call it like my universe. That's like the feeling I get is like that I'm larger there. I'm like the TARDIS, if you know, I'm Doctor Who, like it's bigger on the inside is like how it feels. Yeah, it's just an area of my anatomy I'm so grateful to, and like also a bit bewildered and intrigued by. Like she's part of me and also feels beyond me. Definitely a source of when I feel the most creative. A part of it is I just feel so connected to like my pelvis, my universe. So shout out to her.
Wow, that's beautiful. I love that. And I'm kind of having this moment of realizing like I don't totally know what that feels like. I can like drop in and and go there to the degree that I have experiential capacity to go there, but I have not grown any people in mine yet, at least to completion. I've started that process twice.
Yes.
And that's cool. I mean, I can feel that, I can feel that power and that expanse there. But yeah, just hearing you describe what you're describing and the way you're describing it, man, that's just so incredible. And I'm looking forward to having my own experience of that, maybe sooner than later. So shout out to your pelvis specifically. Shout out to pelvises. Shout out to pelvi. Shout out to the many pelvi of the world. They're all good and beautiful.
Yes, they are. So good.
Well, thanks for being here with us, everybody. And we will see you over on Substack right now.
See you soon.
Okay, bye.
Bye. This is Experiential Anatomy. Thanks for listening. I'm Joan Chan.
And I'm Jamie Lee Finch. Experiential Anatomy is co-hosted and created by us.
Amber Wyndham is the editor. Julia Wyndham is the supervising producer.
Senior producer is Elizabeth Wyndham.
Our theme music is Park Pier 3 by G's Guy.
If you have any thoughts, questions, or stories to share about this week's episode, email us at exanatomy@gmail.com.
Please follow, rate, and review on your favorite podcast platform. And remember to join us over at exanatomy.substack.com.
Experiential Anatomy is produced by Windhaven Productions.
I waved.
You waved. That's new.
That's new.
Who are you waving at, Jamie?
I don't know.
Oh my God.